Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
On everybody, BT Unleashed back on this Thursday. Another putrid performance by the Yankees. J-Rod, what's going on, brother? How you feeling today?
Feeling good, feeling a little better,
good.
feeling a little better than the Yankees. All right, so now you got to reveal to me what's the shirt. What's the shirt?
Oh, the shirt. You don't know what this logo is right here?
Not at all.
You can see it, right?
I can see it.
Take a guess. Take a guess there.
Okay, so I already guessed Kangol, and I was
like
off there.
Kangol. I forgot Makango. That was from the old Roxanne song.
The Samuel L. Jackson classic hat. All right, so now I'm gonna go like Australian, like.
Good guess.
Like national team,
like cricket, like they're the Yankees. Well, at this point, the Rays of Australia. They're their best team out there. No, I'm gonna give you one more guess. Can you come up? There was an athlete, right, that was most synonymous with this brand. That was a football player. That's a long time ago. Long time ago.
I'm just gonna throw Deion Sanders. I don't know.
Yeah, a long time, even before that. Walter Payton. This is Kangaroo.
Oh, okay.
Kangaroo. And you've heard me talk about the Kangaroo sneakers, where they've got a little zipper with the long tongue. Right when I was young, and you put like your key and money in there.
Yep.
Yeah, I got this. I've had it for a while. I never wear it. I don't really think I look very good in yellow. I don't know if anybody outside of the Savannah Bananas. I don't know anybody that looks good in yellow. Yeah, I got this a while ago. So it's the old Kangaroo brand. Yeah.
Sweet.
That
is sweet, though. The Kangaroo shirt. I like it.
Do you remember that? You're a big rap historian. Do you remember the song Roxanne's Revenge? Well, first Roxanne.
I don't know. Roxanne's Revenge. I'm checking that out. I do not think I know that by Roxanne.
I know the chat.
Shante.
Roxanne.
Okay.
There may have been other versions. Roxanne, and then she came back with Roxanne's Revenge. Roxanne, feel it, like really old school, bassy, 80s, mid 80s ish. If I had to take a guess there, that was a good beat, man. I love that. Like right before the Beastie Boys, around when Run DMC was coming up. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, we've got a lot to get to today. Hopefully, everybody's doing well. Hey, nice little milestone on the show yesterday. Not going to make a massive deal out of this because we're just starting out, but absolutely appreciate it. And listen, these are my scoreboards here. I don't get rated anymore in terms of the terrestrial, conventional radio. So when we hit a little benchmark, we're going to acknowledge it. I'm going to thank you for that support. All the shares, all the comments, all the likes, all the views. They add up, man. So we hit 4 million views, which I'm obviously proud of. Not to overstate it. I know that I'm going to look back at some point and say, God, 4 million views. Remember when you had 4 million views? When we eventually get to 5 and 10 and well beyond that, God willing. But yeah, good job. So I appreciate you guys getting my back and enjoying the content. It's been a really good week so far. Joe B was amazing. Michael K was amazing. I want to play a couple things from yesterday's interview that I want to jump into here. By the way, today's show, get this in, brought to you by our friends at Sullivan Papain. You can find Sullivan online at triallaw1.com. That's triallaw1.com. Remember the name Sullivan Papain, and also by Premio Sausage, the way sausage should be. You can find them at premiofoods.com or in your local grocery store. There were a couple of things that, the interview with Michael was absolutely fire. Yes, it was great. He was phenomenal. So was Joe. I want to play this for you. Not yet, though, Jay. And I want to react to a couple of different things because, really, I broached the question, one of several questions I had for Mike. Is it the approach or is it the players? Now, I believe that it's both, which makes it even worse. He had a different opinion, a different answer. Go ahead, Jay. Roll it in, Jay. They've got the same swing when it's 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, even 1-0 as it is 1-2. And that is a philosophical breakdown, in my opinion, and I can't prove this, but what the Yankees espouse in the minor leagues, they're either drafting the wrong people or they're teaching the wrong thing or both.
You'll talk to some old-time pitchers now, and they say, well, we could strike out 12 to 15 guys a game because everybody swings from their backside, even with 2 strikes. But the interesting thing is one of the guys who's struggling the most right now for the Yankees is Cody Bellinger. And he very clearly has a 2-strike approach.
Yes.
Where he tries to put the ball in play.
Yep.
And he's striking out and he's struggling as well. Paul Goldschmidt is a guy who has a 2-strike approach. He struck out 4 times yesterday. Again, maybe it's contagious. I'm not quite sure. I know that right now everybody is really pressing. And even when they won on Monday, Brandon, they still struck out 17 times and only had 3 hits.
I know.
So if they're going to win games, they're going to win games by hitting home runs. And they had the 3 home runs on Monday. And yesterday, Rice had a home run as well. But, they've got to start to hit home runs again and not strike out as much as they do. But a team that's built on home runs, Brandon, they are going to strike out. Just not to this extent.
Well, not as many strikeouts last night. The Yankees are getting their act together. Instead of back-to-back nights of 17 whips, the Yankees only had a paltry 11 last night. So I guess we can deem that as some progress here. In a lot of ways, guys, I think Michael inadvertently agreed with me or just reinforced my point. Like, so when you bring up Bellinger and you bring up Goldschmidt, who have pretty good, even though Goldschmidt, what is he, 0 for 34? He's 0 for his last 34. And he's got a ridiculous amount of strikeouts, but that's more the anomaly. Listen, he's getting older. You're not going to win a championship based on Goldie. He's supposed to be, more of a reinforcement type. We understand that. But Goldschmidt and Bellinger really do have good approaches. I would agree with that. The problem is they weren't drafted by the Yankees, which makes my point. Think about this. What I just said to Michael about the way they draft and the way they develop and what they espouse in the minor leagues philosophically, well, to illuminate Bellinger and Goldschmidt as, counterpoints or an argument that the Yankees, that it's not necessarily flawed. I'm not trying to put words in Michael's mouth, but you just heard what he said. Again, I think that just further illustrates what I'm saying and reinforces that, because really the only 2 guys on the team that have a decent approach, meaning, they're going to have a little bit of it, even though the results aren't there right now for anybody, but, bigger picture, they're going to vary their approach and vary their swings based on the count and based on the situation. Goldschmidt does that historically, and Bellinger certainly does that historically. But they're not like, they're property of the Yankees now, but they weren't developed by the Yankees. So that doesn't give the Yankees any points in terms of those guys having a more advanced, a bit of a throwback approach to put the ball in play. And then you got to look at the Dodgers, and you got to look at the Cardinals. You know what I mean? So it's ridiculous where the Yankees are. And today's probably going to get a lot worse. Think about this, though. J-Rod, listen to these numbers. This is unfathomable. We're actually here at this point. It's absolutely... It's all, there's no way that you would believe this unless you've watched this, right? The last 10 games, Bellinger, 39 at bats. He's hitting 103. Rice, all right, Ben Rice starting to get going a little bit, but last 37 at bats, hitting 216. Dominguez, last 35 at bats, hitting 229. Just told you about Goldschmidt, 0 for 34. Volpe, last 28 at bats, $179. Caballero, last 33 at bats, hitting $182. Austin Wells, who is just as bad as a player offensively as I've ever seen in my life. I don't care what position you play. I've seen many. Dwight Gooden was one of them. National League hitters that were more of a threat and had a better plan and a better course of action and a better, method of attacking at bats than Austin Wells has for basically this entire year. He's the last 24 at bats, he's hitting 042. Chisholm's last 28 at bats, he's hitting $179. And Ryan McMahon at this point, 208 basically seems like 1985 Don Mattingly, which is what he's doing here. So, now you mix in the Yankees are facing Drew Rasmussen today, who just always ties them up in knots, as most good pitchers do. He's 4-0 with a sub-1 ERA. He's got 57 strikeouts in 50 innings. That's who's pitching for the Rays today. It's a day game. I think it's 135. And the Yankees are going out with a bullpen. Now I understand some of the circumstances, and good teams sometimes have to do this, but it has become more and more common throughout baseball. Obviously Frieda's not back yet. Cam pitched the first game through a gem. Will Warren got knocked around, was not good. Garrett Cole last night, but okay. He was fine. And here we are based on, again, the circumstances. You're going to a bullpen game, which means you probably know what it means. The Yankees aren't going to probably win. So, I mean, just based on the odds and based on logic at this point, the Yankees will leave Tampa losing. Now it's baseball, so anything can happen, Susan. But at all probability, Yankees, take it on the chin. They lose 3 of 4. They continue to stagger toward the end of the symbolic end of the first half. The Nationals, who are, playing better ball now, they've got some good young players, play with energy. They're over 5. They're at 500 or they're over 500. I think they're over. I've got to double check that. So there's no assurance. It's not like the Nationals of years past where you just show up and you beat them 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 just by merely getting off the bus. So there is a real good chance that this gets worse before the end of the first half. It's absolutely crazy. It really is. I mean, it's unnerving. It's confounding. It angers us because we have to watch the same stuff every night. It's just the same old song and dance. It's absolutely crazy. Whatever happened to relax? It's the Yankees. They're entitled to the playoffs. Yeah, I did talk about that a while ago, but guys, there comes a point, I guess it was a week or so ago, where we did a show, relax, things will be fine. But I've always tempered that with, it's my fear. It's not a prediction, but it's certainly my fear that Aaron Judge will not be back for a long time. I talked about this with Michael. Michael had a great soundbite on that. Yeah, he's not going into the MRI tube for another couple of weeks. Then you gotta ramp it. If everything's good, if everything's favorable, you got to ramp it up. You got to start with dry swings at 50%. Then you got to get a little bit more, juice behind the dry swings. Then you got to move to the tee. Then you got to move to soft toss. Then you got to move to, easy modified batting practice. Then you got to, get some rehab starts. And before that, you got to start seeing, 95 or 100 in the batting cage. There are many checkpoints that Aaron Judge has to go through. That's the reality of it. The other thing, too, and we started the interview because and I was going to get into the Volpe stuff. We started the show a little bit late yesterday. Michael was coming on at noon, actually came on earlier, which was great from his hotel room. Really appreciate that. Wasn't even feeling great, but he did us a solid here, as he often has. He's been on, 3 or 4 times already on the show since we launched in basically late December. And, I was going to get into the Volpe stuff to start the show yesterday. That was the big story. Anthony Volpe reportedly told the Yankees, I'm a shortstop. I'm not going to second. I'm not doing it, basically. So don't even try to get me reps in the minors at second. Joel Sherman had that. Michael had that the day before. And as he told us, it was a bit of a throwaway line, but obviously it took on. I mean, that's a big take. That's a big indictment from the voice of the Yankees. So Michael recanted that yesterday, right around 25 minutes before we started the show. So we had to adjust. And that was one of the first things I asked him, right? And, he basically said that he was fed bad information and that, he was going to seek out Anthony Volpe and apologize to him. And rightfully so, if that's the case. Now, the reaction from many of you, whether it's on X or in the comments on this channel, it's basically been positioned as one of 3 things. Number one, he received bad information, all right, and he owned it. Number 2, he basically, I mean, some of you actually said this, which is asinine. Like, I know many of you like Michael, but even if you don't, I mean, Michael's a man of integrity. But many people thought, I shouldn't say many. Some of you thought, they made it up, throw a little log on the fire, generate some action. Stop. Like, why would Michael do that? Really think about this, guys. In the radio world, we're, I would say we, but on the terrestrial side, you're not measured the way that you used to be measured. Like Michael's current station, 880, doesn't even subscribe to the ratings because it's a big check that you have to cut from a corporate point of view to get rated, okay? And they elected not to do it. So, this is not like when Michael was trying to upend Mike Francesa, which he did once, maybe twice, but I know at least once, right? So to think that the motivation was to, I don't know, generate some buzz for the show, it's not worth, which I don't believe at all. It's not worth the risk. Like if you're Michael Kay and you're in your 60s and you've done the Yankees for 35 years, why would you mess around with the relationship that you have with the Yankees? Why would you do that? So I think it was unfair, and I know it's utterly unfounded. Like, there's no way he made it up. I mean, that's not even an option. I'm just going through 3 potential options. The other one, and I would think that, again, based on a little experiment that, I partook in yesterday, trying to get a sense of what people thought digitally and in the online community, that Michael received good information, kind of similar to Joel Sherman, but based on his relationship with the Yankees, meaning wink, wink, the bat phone rings. Mike, I can't have it. Got to walk it back, whether it's Hal, whether it's Cashman, whether it's whomever, right? And Michael, to protect his relationship with the Yankees, quickly pivoted and owned it in a very different way. That is utter bullshit. I don't know how else to frame it. Like, if you actually think that that's the case, I don't know what to tell you. Now, I happen to know Michael for a long time. I happen to really like Michael, okay? I think he's really good. I think he's got a lot of integrity. I know he's a good person, right? And I think he represents the Yankees incredibly well, whether it's at the whether it's old timers with the introductions or just, carrying the baton from all the great Yankee voices. Rest in peace, John Sterling, Scooter, rest in peace, Mel Allen, guys like that. I mean, it's the Yankees. I mean, there's no higher broadcast perch in all of baseball, including the Dodgers, even though the Dodgers organizationally running laps around the Yankees for a while. The Yankees microphone, the Yankees broadcast booth is the most cherished piece of real estate in sports broadcasting, at least pertaining. I would actually say, I was going to say pertaining to baseball. I would say pertaining to anything, because it's not a diss, but, hockey's not as popular. We know that. Football's on the national level. And, like Mike Breen's phenomenal. Ian Eagle does that, phenomenal. But it's not as rarefied. I don't want to say it's not as valued, because I value it, but historically it just doesn't have that same cachet that, baseball broadcasts do. So, what to me, like, he's in that's why I'm quite candidly, I'm surprised that Michael's done radio as long as he's done it, because it's almost an impossible needle to thread. You're making big money from Yes, for many, he's still doing well with the radio, but for many of those years doing radio, it's making big money, Afternoon Drive, when they went to FM 98.7, battling Francesa, beating him once. Like, the money's rolled in for Mike, and he's earned it. But there comes a point, I think, when you get to a certain age where, the squeeze is just not worth the juice. Like, why would Michael at this stage, 35, 36 years, doing the Yankees, which is among the top 2 or 3 longest tenured voices? I think it's number 2. I think the Royals broadcaster is number 1 at 36. I think Michael's number 2 at 35. Like, that is a tough dance. That's a tough juggle. Now, it's easy when the Yanks are winning, when you're doing the games on the radio with Sterling in 96 and the Yankees win, and 98 and 99 and 2000. And then eventually the Yes Network is born in whatever year that was, early 2000s, right? And you've been connected with them. It's a platinum product. It's a gold standard, in my opinion. But when the Yankees aren't playing well, I mean, that is a very tough thing to balance. Now, on 1/100th of the scale, I can at least relate to that on not the money and not the prestige, but, having done many rough St. John seasons where I'm not one to bite my tongue, and a couple of times I just aired it. I couldn't take it anymore. I was losing my mind. Lost. Like, there was one point where St. John's had lost, it was either 25 or 30 consecutive road Big East games. And I just had enough. And I just, crossed the line, not with the language, but with I think with the venom or the honesty in which I was describing the program. and I got a call. The way it went, back in the day, different school, the different university president, certainly different AD, certainly different coaches, and certainly different circumstances. But the way it went down was I was told that a few of the priests were listening to the game and they thought I was a little bit too hard, a little bit too rough on, and that was communicated. And they said, just be careful. Like they didn't, admonish me anything aggressively, but hey, just understand, I'm like, I got it, guys. I got it. Now that hasn't prevented me from, calling it the way I see it when St. John's not playing well, but like that's St. John's, which I value tremendously, which I love, but receives 1/100th, if not much more, or much less, really, my bad, much less of the scrutiny that Yankee baseball, Yankees are on every single night, consumed by millions upon millions upon millions. Until the last year or two, St. John's hadn't been on the radio for a long time. They were when I started, then they went digital, and they was just apps. It's a great app, but we're like, we got to get back on the radio. What are we doing? And we did because of the resurgence under Patino. But, I can relate to it a little, but the dance that Mike, and I know you might not want to hear this, but the juggle that he does, providing energy and obviously not shitting on the franchise, but also being true to what you're watching, I think he does a sublime job. So I think that anybody who thinks that, he made it up for clicks, that's just, or ratings, and his radio show doesn't even get rated, the entire station does it, I think that is absolutely unfair, and I know it's that's a fallacy. Let's just get rid of that. The other option, he received bad information, which happens, and then he manned up, and he came correct, and he apologized, which is what I believe happened. But many of you still think that, he received good information, presented it, and because the Yankees didn't like it, ring, ring, bat phone, it's Hal, can't have it, Michael. No, I don't believe that that's the case. I can't prove it, but that's what I absolutely believe. He was great yesterday, but that Volpe stuff was, was all over the map, and then and Volpe spoke about it yesterday. Yeah, classy, he's like, hey, listen, that's not the case. That's BS, basically. And then Boone said something last night where I know what Aaron means, but I disagree. I'll tell you why. He's like, he's a gamer and he's a great kid, which I think we all agree with, right? But then he kind of punctuated it with, I wish people appreciated that more. Boney, it's the results. It's the results business. When you're a first round draft pick from the tri-state area and you're playing shortstop for the Yankees who are floundering, and you have in year 4, you've shown no real palpable signs of growth. Nobody's going to go out there and laud effort and lean on character, which I think Anthony Volpe has as much as anybody on the team, as the first bullet point. You'll get around to it at some point. I've even done it where, I've tried to soften the blow a bit because I really do like him and I love his dad and I love the story. But that is far secondary. So I thought that was really unfair. I really did. I did. BT, make it make sense. This is, let me see. The talk about Skubal to the Yankees is fun, but the Yankees already have quality starters, still can't win close games. They need a lot of help and a relief pitcher or two. They're definitely getting relief pitchers. Don't worry about that. They definitely need lineup help. I would think they're getting a pretty good catcher, but until he's not here. The relief arms, like Cashman's very good at that. I'm not worried about that. And I hear you. I certainly viewed the Yankee rotation as the ultimate strength here, at least coming in on paper. And that's one of the things I leaned on over the winter. Like, once I knew that Bellinger was retained and wasn't going anywhere, as I tried to look forward and push it forward on my expectations for the Yankees in 2026, the thing that I always hung my hat on was I think they've got a chance. I said this for months going into spring training. They've got a chance to, without a doubt, have the best rotation in the American League. I think now the Rays are pretty good. Dodgers, when they're healthy, are good. I get it. There's other teams that have some good pitching. Clearly, Brewers have some really good pitching. But I even stretched it further than that. I thought and think more maybe past tense, but still door a little open, think that the Yankees have a chance to have the best rotation in baseball. Forget about just the shitty American League. And the other thing that I said was, I actually thought there was a bit of a chance, outside-ish, but on the table, that the Yankees could bring to the table the best rotation this century. And I don't think that was crazy talk. I don't think that was unfounded. Now, there were a lot of variables, and the variables were, all right, if Cam Schlittler does not suffer a sophomore slump, if there's no regression, check. Cy Young leader by a mile right now. He's been absolutely fantastic. Cam is what we thought he was. He's basically like a skinny Clemens. He goes at you. He's got stones. Based on the quote the other night, you're dropping F-bombs. People who doubt me. We loved it. That's why I got into that rant yesterday. That's a pit bull. That's a Roger Clemens. That's a Rottweiler. Yankees have too many lap dogs on the team. They're just soft. In addition to being poorly built and bad approach. So you look at it, the triple whammy there. Check for Cam. Now, the other variables were, okay, and it wasn't much because he was healthy and he was great year one as a Yankee, Max Fried. I mean, you start a rotation, a righty like Cam who's throwing absolute gas and it's intimidating and all that stuff, and a lefty, and you can obviously invert that and have Fried 1, Cam 2, whatever, but it's kind of insignificant. But Fried is a lefty who throws pretty hard but has a massive 6 or 7 pitch arsenal. I mean, that is one hell of a starting point, which was the fuel behind my conviction that the Yankees rotation could be, I don't know if I want to say all time, but certainly this century, right? Then you get to Garrett Cole, another variable. Well, and it's always prefaced with, all right, if Garrett Cole comes back healthy, and we all knew he'd come back because Tommy John is not a career ender the way it used to be for some, similar to ACL, similar to ruptured Achilles. I mean, the advancements in modern medicine is off the charts, thank God, right? So you knew he'd be back, and I always prefaced it with, if he's, it's not going to be 100% Garrett Cole Cy Young, and certainly not right away. Although, ironically, he pitched that way the first couple of starts, and then there was a massive stark regression in June and July. All right, he's pretty good last night. He's fine. He's good. But even if he was 85 to 90% of top-level vintage apex Garrett Cole, again, go back. Cam, Fried, Cole. 1, 2, 3. And then you get to somebody like Rodon, who's now in the 4 spot, who's now obviously hurt, which has changed something. Like, that's why the Yankees are going with a bullpen today to start in a big game against the Rays, where you're getting drilled again and on the precipice of losing 3 out of 4. But if Rodon's your 4, which during the winter, why wouldn't I think that he could be? Well, now it's like, not only is he a good, I know he's not like quite what we thought he would be when the Yankees got him, especially that first year. Then he bounced back nicely, got smoked in the playoffs. I get it. You get a lot with Rodon. But over 162, like over 30 starts, and he's been pretty durable outside of this year. If he's your 4th starter, you're going against the opponent's back end of the rotation. And the with Judge, the Yankees hitting a lot of home runs. The expectation, Carlos Rodon as a 4 is as good a 4 by a mile in baseball, theoretically. And then you mix in Will Warren, who had a lot of strikeouts, performed well as a rookie. And then you're like, well, even if he goes a little backwards or sideways, which he kind of has, eventually Clark Schmidt will be back, or an Elmer Rodriguez or LeGrand before they put him in the bullpen and before he got hurt. There was a lot of reasons to believe that the Yankees would be really, really, really good this year. But here we are. I gave you the 10-game sample, 103, 216, 229, 0 for Goldschmidt, $1.79, $1.82, 0.42 for Wells. Hey, he's such a stiff. 179, 208. That's the Yankees' everyday lineup for the most part, and that's their batting and OPS. I won't even bore you with that, which is more reflective of how bad they are. I just went for the old school, antiquated batting average reference there. And when you talk about is it a talent thing or is it an approach thing? Well, again, it's both. It's both. It is both. All right. The trust has been broken between the Yankees, the media, and the fans. The fans have been gaslighted from Cashman, the sports media. There's no trust anymore. Fans are tired of the BS. I'm not going to really push back on that. I think there's a lot of nonsense. I think there's a lot of hiding. I think there's a lot of stretching and embellishing. I mean, Brian Cashman a year ago told us Anthony Volpe's elite. That's what he told us, that Anthony Volpe is elite. My guy Boone reportedly has told us, hey, Austin Wells swinging the bat well. No, he's not. No, he's not. Again, yesterday he reasserted, Volpe's played great defense. I don't see it. I see a guy who looks really uncomfortable fielding the ball, who's rushing throws because he doesn't have a good arm. I don't see a quality defensive shortstop this year, and I didn't see one last year, certainly for that month where he was lost. So I get it. Is there a betrayal? Is there a disconnect? Is there a disenfranchisement, if that's even a word? I think it is. Yeah, that's fine. I don't really know if I agree, though, with the media aspect. I think the media has been very pointed. I mean, I say what I say. I think I call it the way it is with the Yankees. I think the people that you listen to and that you consume on a daily basis, I feel like they're, I don't know really anybody. Even if I did, I'm not going to start calling people out. That's not what I'm here for. But I think let me put it this way. I think the vast majority of people that have a prominent voice in New York City, I think they're very transparent about the New York Yankees. Very. I don't think that there's a false elevation. Again, the vast majority, I think that applies to. So I agree with part of it from the organization. I don't think the media is complicit. I mean, you make it seem like there's a relationship, like the media is trying to protect the Yankees. No way. There's no chance that that's the case. Bring back Charlie Lau. I bet you that's a name many of you do not know. Old hitting coach. I think you spelled it wrong. I think you may have spelled it wrong. Exit velo, launch angle means 0 when you don't make contact. Yeah, I know this stuff. But on batter on ball, keep it simple. Analytics make me puke. I mean, analytics are here to stay, so you're going to have to find a way to digest that. But yeah, I think that there's an over-reliance, over-consumption of advanced numbers. Yeah, and I think that we've talked about this. The heartbeat has largely been taken out of the game. The gut has largely been taken out of the game. Now, I'm a big believer in collecting as much data and as evidence as you can, and then putting it all together, seeing what it spits out, but then also trusting your eyes. Like, to me, that's the perfect configuration for a franchise. Now, some do that. Some do it more than others. Some are fully reliant on analytics. It's tough to cherry pick which ones are which, but, I mean, specific to the Yankees, I think the Yankees are very beholden to the numbers because the guys that they keep running out there, or either that, let me take a step back. I think the biggest problem with the Yankees, aside from the way they're built and approach and the other, and that Judge is not healthy and neither is Fried, there's a lot of issues, but I think the biggest issue, I'm going to boil it down to this, all right? And I'm going to invoke the name Brian Cashman again, but I'm going to give it a bit of a different spin so it's not repetitive. And this actually might hit the mark more than anything that I've said about Brian Cashman. Not earn the right to rebuild, whatever. All that stuff that we've said, that I've said, right? That I stand by. And have not been proven wrong on yet, by the way. Not yet. I think Brian Cashman's biggest issue, are you ready? Is his ego. I think his biggest problem really is his inability to admit a mistake. And that ties into ego. Ties into ego. I don't care what it is, any aspect of life. If you are inflexible, right, whether you want to prove others wrong, those dissenting voices, oh, you got it wrong, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you don't deviate and you don't mix and match and experiment to put yourself on a better course to actually get the results in whatever field you're in. Well, I think largely that is derived from ego. You're either ego-driven or you're stupid. And I don't think that Brian Cashman's stupid. And even if I did, I wouldn't call him that. Like, that's not a word. I wouldn't say Brian Cashman's an idiot. Brian Cashman's stupid. Like, no, he's not. I know that some of you think that he is. But really the root of his biggest issue, and I think when we look back, whenever the Brian Cashman era ends as the main decision maker for the Yankees, and at this point, it's going to end in about the year 2040 because they're probably not going to move on from him. The biggest issue is his ego. Not in a way like, oh, I'm the best. I got all these championships. Nobody could do it. I don't mean like in a boastful manner, like in the conventional sense of ego. I don't mean that. But the inability or the unwillingness, or both, really, to look in the mirror, understand, I missed the mark on that. I messed that up, and I've got to pivot. And there's so many examples of him not doing that. I'm going to continue to shove Aaron Hicks down your throat because I think that I'm smarter than you, derived from ego. We're going to keep rolling Gallo out there for a little bit because, well, I think I know more than you, and I'm going to be proven right. X. I mean, there are so many, just myriad examples. Volpe's one of them as well. I would even say that Giancarlo Stanton is one of them. Because what should have, now I don't know if Hal would have done this. I know he's got the no trade, trust me. And I know the Marlins are obviously eating $10 million off his total contract last couple of years. But see, if you are operating without an ego and there's full organizational transparency and honesty and the lines of communication are blunt and real, the conversation. Now, I'll leave the door open. Maybe he did do this. I don't think that this happened, but you never know. What should have happened was he should have gone to Hal and said, boss, we thought it was the right move when we got him. We got to buy out Stanton. It is limiting our flexibility. It is creating a logjam in terms of roster building and what he gives us based on health versus what he doesn't based on injury, which obviously overrides the health. We know he can hit some bombs when he's healthy, but talking about big picture, that should have been addressed. I don't mean 5 years ago. That really should have been a talking point 2 years ago where it should have been broached. See, and when you broach something early, even if Hal, and I'm sure Hal would have pushed back, like, not yet, too much money, not doing it. But if you plant the seed then, well, now when you kind of go back a year later, now I don't know that Hal's quite as alarmed or is turned off by that request or that thought. Let's move forward without Stanton. And then if you do it again, you're just basically chipping away at that wall, and eventually you might get your way. But I think ego, back to that word, has prevented Cashman from doing that. Now, I also think that there, especially with a couple of years to go on the deal, going back a few years, there would have been a reluctance, a strong pushback from Hal to absorb that kind of money, which I do understand to an extent, but it doesn't mean you don't pursue it with vigor. And you keep going back to that well to make the team more athletic and more modern. And it never happened because he's still here. And all we hear is, now he's not really doing a whole lot now, but we expect him back. Same song and dance. That's how it feels. Pride is winning over common sense at this point. Yeah. Now, the other thing, too, there is unfounded pride. Like there is pride without justification, and there is also pride rooted in results, but you don't evolve and the results become dusty and antiquated, and you lean on that too much, like way past the expiration point. Like, if you're a below average player in any team, right, any sport, and you're knocking on, or your agent's calling and you're asking for a contract that just doesn't it's not based on merit. It's like it's laughably out of whack with what you've done as a player, or you're a hitter and your offensive profile, on base, OPS, overall production is nowhere near good enough, but you think you should be hitting in a better spot. Like that's unfounded. You know what I mean? That's without merit. But at least and this is why it's God, there's so much here. That's why with Cashman, and I do understand this to an extent, it's a little trickier for him because up until X amount of years ago, all he knew was success. So he didn't really think that he had to change his ways. The league was changing. We've done it our way. I've won. Now, again, 96 was Bob Watson. We know that. But you get to like 99, you get to 2000, you get to all those playoff runs, even getting to the World Series in 03, when that young Marlins pitching staff tied the Yankees up at knots. Obviously, winning it in 09 when you spent $250 million that offseason for CC, for Mark Teixeira, AJ Burnett. And then there was an organizational recalibration. And just as, because let's face it, 2000, to 2009, based on that recent run by the Yankees, it wasn't as loud as it is now because we were still kind of content with all those championships. But, there were some groans that were audible, There were a lot of things were going on. Joe Torre batted A-Rod, 8th or 9th? I think it was 8th against the Tigers, losing to the Angels a couple of times and losing to teams you were supposed to beat in 2002, losing in 01 to a team that I think meant, even though they had Schilling and Randy Johnson, a team that we all thought the Yankees were going to beat, were favored to beat, probably should have beaten, But as what the 09 championship revalidated his belief and his espousings and his methods of building out a team. But 2000 to 09 is basically a decade. 09 to now is a whole hell of a lot more. And now it's basically anarchy within the Yankee fan base. I don't know anybody that believes in this direction. I really don't. I don't know anybody. I don't have one. Probably trying to think the breakdown of like my core friend base. More Yankees or Mets? It's close. Probably a little more Yankees. A little bit. Not much, but a little bit. All right. My core friends, the chats and all the stuff, the daily stuff, the stupid jokes, the memes, the things you would never say, in front of a camera or tweet, setting up the golf trip. Mostly Yankee fans. Now that I think about it, more Yankee fans than not. I don't know one person that believes in this direction or has an ounce of conviction that it's going to right itself. Like it doesn't right itself magically. Like that doesn't happen. So we continue to have the same conversations, right? But I think this is a little different because at least I'm identifying for you what I really believe is the biggest impediment for Brian Cashman. And it's not that he's not smart or he lost his fastball because he's getting older or the game, it's ego. It's a refusal to change, to admit mistake, to move on from certain things. We drafted this kid first round, Jersey kid. We're going to keep telling you he's good. Cash, I'm going to tell you he's elite. But what I'm going to tell you he's really, he's better than you think. No, he's not. He's not. And we all know it, I think there's a lack of transparency with the Yankees that bothers a lot of people, which I get. Whether it's calling out players, whether it's embellishing who they are. It's laughable to say that the Yankees should have bought out Stanton in 2024. Why is that? What's so funny about that? I don't think it is. I mean, let me just pop something up here. And obviously, Stanton hit some massive home runs, clearly, right? But I'm even talking before that. I'm talking about before that. I mean, we'll never forget what he did against the Guardians. But you look at, and he was a great October player for a while there. But, I mean, Giancarlo Stanton was acquired at the age of 27 when he came to the Yankees, right? And, plays 158 games his first year, and he does well. A good start. Then he plays 18 games, and we all remember that. All right, that's an anomaly. He still, looks like Zeus. He's still young. He's in his 20s. All right, sucks, but, I mean, that's not even a thought. Moving on, obviously. The numbers, the contract's too punitive, and he's too young and too good. I'm not talking about then. Let's see. Then you get to, obviously, the COVID year. All right, there's only 60 games, but he missed 40 of them. All right, now it's back-to-back years. Not good, but still early. And then you get to 2021 where he played almost 140. All right, here we go. A little reset here, a little physical reset. And then he missed 52 games. And then he missed 55 games. Come on, man. And now you're at the point, 2024, he still missed 40-something games, but he delivered when it mattered. So, but then last year, he missed almost 100. And this year, I mean, he's going to miss well over 100 again if he comes back at all. So, no, don't tell me that it's I disagree. I mean, you could say it. I don't believe it. Some of us saw his body breaking down and said, let him go. Yeah, I hear you. I agree. J-Rod, isn't this crazy? How many ways can you spin
the Cashman?
I mean, all of it.
I mean, I think the ego one is a bit of a new spin, and I think that's a take I've seen honestly a good amount over the past couple of weeks, especially pertaining to the Volpe situation and calling back the Aaron Hicks situation. I think people they see Cashman as a guy who won't relent on his previous beliefs, on his previous his previous intuitions on players.
Yep.
Like he will not revert based on all clear evidence shown to him. He cannot kind of change his original beliefs, his original ways and feelings towards these players.
Yep. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Yeah, he does. And it's one of these things. Now, this also helped propel him to an incredibly high level, but he is he's an underdog. He wasn't I know he played collegiately, but he wasn't like some former player. At least Bob Watson, the previous GM, was a player, was on that 81 Yankees team. Wasn't a great player, but he was pretty good. And even before the Yankees, Bob Watson had some pretty good year. Right-handed hitter, right-handed fielding first baseman. I remember that's probably the first home run that I ever remember. I was too young for Reggie, as I've said. I was watching the 81 World Series. I remember my eyes were just, closed, and we had a babysitter. My parents had a wedding. And I was all hopped up on, chocolate and goodies that my parents bought for the game. But I was crashing. I'm falling asleep. And I remember Bob Watson hitting a home run opposite field to right field. Like Bob Watson at least played. Cashman didn't play. And I think when you have that underdog kind of attitude, which is fuel, which is a good thing. In like Rocky, even though it's a movie, but the premise, you could apply that to a lot of people in life here at a lot of different jobs and professions. I think it's been a great thing for him. But I also think now it's really hampering him, because when you're an underdog and you get to a certain level, you've got to resist the noise when you're on the rise, when you're on the elevation, when you're in the elevator moving up. Because if you don't, you're going to be eaten alive by people who don't think that you deserve the job. And I'm not even just talking about Brian. I'm talking about anybody. You don't deserve the job. You're not good enough for the job. You won't hold on to the job. You're not the right guy for the job, whatever it might be. And, now you start shoving it down people's throat. Win, 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 win. Bunch of titles. All right. Basically saying, do it like that. I don't know how else to do it. To all your people who are, not sure if you're the right guy for the job. And when you are calloused in that manner, again, it's great fuel, that it's good to have that hard exterior, but I don't think it enables you to kind of see an alternate side, a flip side of the coin, which is why, and this is why the Mets frustrations are different. Really, at least if you contrast the two. Now, you'd much rather be a Yankee fan. You'd much rather be the Yankees than the Mets, but at least the Mets mix it up a little bit. Like, it's not the same regurgitation. And many of you are over Boone as the manager. Mets have had what? They had Buck, they had Mendy, they got this guy Green now before he goes back to the front office. They've had a bunch of GMs, they've had a bunch of president of baseball operations, they've had a couple of owners, last couple of years. So they've had a lot of different star players. They've had a core that they let go, to the chagrin of many of you Met fans. But at least they mixed that up. So we're not sitting here watching the Mets and talking about the Mets saying, they're never going to win with Nimmo and Alonso and Lindor. It's not going to work out, so it's at least it's a different conversation. And variety, when things aren't going well, is at least appealing, because it's not the constant churning of the same stuff. That's the frustration with the Yankees. It's literally the same stuff all the time. They rely on Aaron Judge way too much, and they are basically a one-man team, and they don't develop players well enough. Volpe, Dominguez, Wells, keep going, And their approach is flawed, in my opinion. Their roster is not good enough, in the opinion of basically all of us. They are, At least the Mets, when the Mets suck, which is a lot more often than you would like, at least they're giving you different scripts. It's not a good sitcom, but at least you're not watching the same pilot, Be real, B team. This team isn't well constructed. I agree. I just said that again. I've said that forever. I've said that. I think I may have said that before anybody, because that goes back to the Cashman stuff about rebuilding, not having the right. That's years ago. I don't know what Michael's talking about with Grisham and Wells and Volpe, McMahon, Bellinger, Jazz. These guys are inconsistent scrubs. I'm not going to call them scrubs. I'm not going to get personal here, but they're not good. Really. Outside, think about this. Like, is there a good team? Look at it this way. Is there a good team that would want Anthony Volpe as their everyday starting shortstop with teams that have a real aspiration to win a World Series? There's not one. Is there a team that would either tolerate or want Austin Wells to be behind the plate, 5 out of every 7 games or 6 out of every 7 games that's trying to win a championship? The answer is no, because if the answer was yes, the Yankees wouldn't be looking for a catcher, which invariably they're going to get. I mean, is there a team? I mean, maybe you could get away with McMahon if you've got a good enough, and I've talked about that, like if you've got a good enough order and you can kind of hide McMahon and you're not really need much offense. You got 6, 7 real good sticks who are on base, can run, a little power, speed combo. And McMahon's just there to catch the ball third. Yeah, so I want to be fair. Is there a team? Let me see. Volpe. Yeah, maybe Dominguez might get some run somewhere else. He's not. He's better than Volpe. I mean, at least he shows more promise than Volpe. His down points aren't, even though when he butchers some balls in the outfield, but his down points are not nearly as pronounced as Volpe's are. A lot of you, and I get it, wonder if Anthony Volpe's a major league player. I don't think, and you shouldn't do what you want, but I wouldn't, and I don't think you should wonder if Dominguez is at least a major league player. Like, I could see Dominguez being on a roster for a team that's trying to win a World Series, and he plays once or twice a week. You're not relying on him, but, could run and probably would have been developed better, which would make him a better player, but either way. BT, our problem is that we didn't resign Soto. We needed a base of Soto and Judge and Stanton. But okay, but even I'll get to that next part. Keep it up there, Jay. Even if you had Stanton, he's not playing. He's not playing. It sounds great. A lefty in Soto, amazing hitter. A righty in Judge, the best when he's right. And another masher righty in Stanton. Fantastic. It looks good, if you're playing, the show or you're just doing whatever you do, you're kind of constructing a lineup. Great. Fantastic. But when you're not available, it's hollow. So I got to push back on Stanton. We could build from there. Heck, even Jazz will look better if Soto's also in the lineup. Ben Rice, too. Yeah, I mean, listen, Ben Rice is, I think, in the early stages of getting back on the rails here. I think Ben Rice is terrific. I love his approach. He's had a rough time with fastballs this month here or last month where he was, languishing statistically. But Ben Rice is a pure hitter. If you don't think so, I don't know what to tell you. You don't know baseball. Ben Rice is really good. All right. Ben Rice is going to be here for a long time. And it's going to be a high-level run producer and statistical producer, right? The production will be there. You could book it. But I think the Jazz residually would, and everybody would reap the benefits of just having an extra Soto in the, like Soto there again, like you did in 2024, because, you got to navigate Soto. So if Grisham's hitting first, he's getting fastballs because you don't want to put him on and have to work with Soto and Judge back to back. So Grisham will benefit. And then when nobody's on base, you got to be careful not to feed Soto a cookie. So, there's a little overexertion. It's very rarely a 1 or 2 or 3 pitch at bat. It's almost always deep in the count because he doesn't expand the zone, and pitchers are going to nibble because he's Juan Soto. So, a lot of 5, 6, 7, sometimes more pitch at bats. Even if Soto makes out, guess whose life is easier? The guy who's throwing up to the plate now. Big bad Aaron Judge. Because now the guy's huffing and puffing. He's a little tired. Pitch count getting up. You got the pitch clock, 15 seconds, get back on the rubber. Not a lot of time to regenerate. And then guess who, benefits downstream off of that. To your point, somebody like Jack, and even somebody like, everybody. I can name everybody, even guys who aren't doing anything like Wells and Volpe. Yeah, those guys would certainly benefit from that too. So I agree with some of that. And then Ben Rice, forget about it. At that point, you'd have Ben Rice batting 1. Imagine Ben Rice 1, Soto 2, and then Judge 3. Can you imagine that? But the Yankees tried. He wanted to go to the Mets for the reasons that I don't really know what the reasons were. I know he said, Mets going to be better, a better farm system. Okay. I like Benj and I like Ewing. I say that. But, who else? The Mets farm system is not good right now because everybody's up that has real value at the higher levels that they believe is ready to play. And, the day that Vientos is shipped out will be a day too late. Alvarez, do you really want him? You'd rather have Torrens. I hear a lot of Met fans, so would I. Better approach. I think he's in better shape. I think he's a better pro. So you're pretty much done with Alvarez, Beatty, whatever. Forget about him. Mauricio, nobody knows yet. I'm not expecting much. I think he's got a massive hole in his swing, missing curveballs and back foot sliders by 1.5 miles. He's never going to be a high average guy. He might run into some balls that go 400 feet, and he's going to crank a couple of moonshots. I don't think he's an everyday player on a team that's going to win a championship. I don't see it. So, they tried. The Mets won. That's why I gave the Mets credit there. It sounded so out of character for Volpe to say that. Jay, do me a favor. Pull up the Volpe quotes, and I'm going to have you read them in a second, okay, bud? Just pull those up. Thank you. From him pushing back on Michael K's take from that. I had my doubts from the second I heard it. It does sound like somebody who may have been bleeping with K intentionally, and I think he knows it. Well, all right. Well, were they also intentionally bleeping with Joel Sherman, who's one of the best reporters, especially for New York teams in the game? Yeah. I mean, you tell me that these guys just took the bait? I don't believe that. I believe that sometimes you hear stuff, and if you are well-sourced like Joel is, and obviously like Michael is, guys, let me just tell you the way it works. You don't, even if he's not getting it from Cashman, talking about Michael, you don't think that, whether it's on the team bus or in the booth during a commercial, make sure the mics aren't hot. When Girardi's doing a game, who's a manager, like, you don't think that he's, like, they're conversing about things on the highest organizational level for the guy who used to work for the current GM and owner? You don't think that there's those exchanges? Of course there are. So Michael's got as much knowledge about the Yankees as anybody. It just doesn't behoove him to report stuff on a regular basis because he's the voice of the Yankees, All right, do you have it, Jay?
Sir, I've got it. All right, so Volpe said, it couldn't be further from the truth. From my end, from my perspective, that's been very clearly communicated to Aaron Boone and the team. I think it's just kind of BS, honestly, because I'd hope my teammates in here, I've played with them for 3+ years. I hope they know my character and that I'd literally do anything to help the team win. Literally anything. So I think just the narrative and what it tries to say about me, I feel like I'm defending myself over something that literally didn't happen.
I think that is perfect. I think
a lot of literallys.
Yeah. No, literally. A lot of people misuse the word literally,
No, it's funny.
I love it. Listen, when somebody, that is an attack, not an intentional one, but that's an attack on somebody's character. If you really think about it, like, for him to go out there and meet with reporters and tell the world, I'm a good baseball at the major league level. I've gotten the job done. Like, that's just delusion, planet delusion at this point. It's a fallacy because there's not a stat that backs that up. None. So that would be the wrong move by Volpe. That's not a character assassination, or that's not a take on somebody's willingness to be a good teammate or, a good employee. That is just baseball stuff. And we could all refute that. We could all give our opinions, and everybody has the same opinion of Volpe. He has not gotten the job done at all based on what we thought he would be, period. But in terms of a report or a statement by somebody as high profile as Michael and Joel, who don't just, like, Michael doesn't just start trouble. He's not one of these, sensationalists, that's for sure. I think he's rooted in reality, and I think he's grounded in ethics, journalism ethics. I absolutely, and not just because he's my friend. I really strongly believe that about Michael. Always have, always will, right? And it takes a man to step up and take an L. He said, I was wrong. Came on the air, said I was wrong on his show, and he said it here yesterday as well. If you guys missed it, go check it out. And he said, I'm going to seek out Anthony. I'm going to apologize, right? So, but when that is said, even though I don't think the intention was to, I know it wasn't to attack his character, but when that comes out that you're not willing to shift to a different position, that is now talk about not statistics, but how good of a teammate you are, how good of an employee you are, how much adaptability you have for the betterment of the team. And those are things, in my opinion, that cannot go unchecked. They just can't. So, I mean, that's why, that's why there was not that long ago, my character was attacked. And that's why I felt the need to defend myself. And I did. And then I left it and I moved on, and it wasn't like, oh, BT's not good on the air. And if that was said, that's your opinion, that's fine. Keep it moving. Okay. I mean, I don't know if it would make me feel good if people were saying that, But if people were saying that, and some do, because it's obviously a subjective business, but if people that I used to work with were saying, man, he stunk on the air, never prepared, had no energy, couldn't interview, didn't get any good guests, had no juice, like nobody said that, and nobody ever will. But like if there's an element of a character attack, I don't care if it's, in the radio business, if you're a Yankee, if you're a lawyer, if you're a coach, like that's where you have to step up for yourself. So I vehemently disagree with that last chat there, that was a bad look by Volpe. I thought it was a great look by Anthony Volpe, and further reinforces to me that he does have the character that I've always talked about, that he's gotten from his parents who were doctors and raised the right way. He is, listen, Anthony Volpe is never going to be, I don't think, strongly don't think, unfortunately, what we hoped he was going to be, like our version of Witt from Kansas City. But if you've got a daughter who's of legal age, early 20s, maybe a little bit older, whatever, depending upon which way you go, you're like older, you're like, you know what I mean. And Anthony Volpe rings the doorbell, and he's taking your daughter out for a date. As a dad, as a man, you're like, nice, okay, have fun. No, you still give him that firm handshake. You still let him know when your daughter's, maybe grabbing her purse. You look him in the eye. You let him know, this is the way it's going to be. But you feel good about it. You know what I mean? He's that good of a person, and his character's that high. Disagree with that. There is something on Jazz. I don't understand this one. I get that. Jazz is an easy target for people. He's an easy target for people because his head's always in space. I don't understand that. Virtual Discourse, big fan of the show, checks in a lot. Can you please expand on that? I'm serious. Can you elaborate on that? He's an easy target. Like, I know I don't, so I'll just speak for myself. I don't look at situations and say, you know what? I'm going to pick on this guy. I don't like him. I don't know Jazz Chisholm as a person. So that's why I've never attacked his character. What I do is I weigh in on what I see every night. And that is a player whose approach stinks, whose level of engagement is subpar for a champion or somebody who's aspiring to become a champion. And that's one of the things that me and Alex talked about. He's like, and he likes Jazz. He's like, you ain't winning with Jazz playing every. You're like, yeah, he was right. Jazz, he's just not locked in enough. How many examples do you need? You want to go back to last year when he's on first base at Miami? He gets a little pop up. He just floats up, double up, floats off the bag, doubled up. A lollipop. I didn't go nuts on that. Not a good look. Let's be honest, How about in the playoffs again, World Series, Dodgers, Bulls banging around the infield, Jazz looking around, guys running. I think it was Shohei, maybe. I think maybe it was Ohtani who took the extra base. Did you like that? Did you like the other day when he had a chance to turn a double play and he's loafing through it? No urgency with the transfer. It's just like, there's no urgency. Do you like the fact that he thinks he's Babe Ruth? Because he told us he was going 50-50, and it doesn't matter if it's 0-2 or 3-1. He's swinging the same way. So, yes, he's an easy target based on how he attacks the game of baseball. Nobody said he's without talent. Think about this, and this applies to every aspect of life. If you've been given gifts, whether it's, analytical gifts and you're a great student, you're going to be, if you come home with a C, well, what are we doing? This is not, God blessed you with maybe a more fertile brain than others. And up until this point, you've utilized it. What is this? Let's get back on track, right? Or if you're a great young athlete and you're lazy, or you have a bad attitude, or you're a professional athlete and you could run and you're wiry, strong, and you have elite hands, you've got check. Jazz Chisholm shows up at a baseball combine. I want that dude. And then you watch him play a season and you're like, let's move on, because he's not locked in. So I disagree. And I would, it's your opinion, so I respect it. But I would have to think the overwhelming majority of people are with me on this. I think you're in the vast minority on that take. I'll do it for him because we were talking Jazz to become a scapegoat, even though there are a lot of other terrible players on the team. How many times are we going to talk about Austin Wells? I bring up Austin Wells every day. Listen, guys, don't hold me accountable for what other people say. I don't care what other people say, because my pulse on the Yankees is on point, period. Always has been, always will be. And I don't just selectively, I don't like this guy or let me just hammer this guy. It has always been equitable and deserved. And when there's L's to be taken, I'll take one. Apply it to me. I've always done that. I did it with Lindor, hitting from one side of the plate. I did it with Zach Wilson. Got a lot of L's on the resume, right? I got no problem admitting that. But with the Yankees, no. Just because others might do it and maybe they fixate more on Jazz, don't associate that with me because that's not true. Nobody pounds Cashman's, recent nobody more than me. Zero. I was the first and I've been the loudest and I've been the most consistent and I've been the most right. All right. I love Volpe, but I'm honest. He stunk so far. He has been, and he was overdrafted. That sums it up. I destroy Austin Wells every day. I've shit on Ryan McMahon. What do you want? Come on, guys.
Yo, BT, wait, I gotta tell you something.
What's up?
Our buddy Virtual Discourse. He wasn't even aiming that text at you.
What?
He was responding to someone else. But we love it. We love it. Listen, everyone's loving it. Listen. Your point still stands.
Damn right it does.
I think your point still stands in the sense that, hey, listen, like. This guy's not just targeting Jazz, and trust me, that's not the only time that chat, even though Virtual Discourse obviously wasn't trying to make that point. He wasn't trying to say
I got you.
Certainly other people have made that point before where it's like Jazz is a target, Jazz is this, and it's like, clearly he's not, clearly he's not the only target, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone gets it.
Hey, man, hey, listen, things gonna happen. You can't hit, everybody's tension's high. M Beers 439. Injuries are a problem. So is conflating utility and depth as a reason to put people all over the field instead of the positions they are best at. Injuries have been an issue I remember for a while it was a big issue with the Knicks. I remember for a long time it was a big issue with the New York Mets. Judge is he's a big man. When he ran into the wall in Dodger Stadium, that slab of concrete that was probably, put out there in 1968 that they never revised. Those idiots out there, not his fault. It's an uncommon occurrence. It was bad luck. It had situational, circumstantial. This injury is taking a long time to heal. It's a bad spot. It's the upper rib. All right. I mean, Stanton, I don't think that the Yankees, now this is true. Like, I want to be fair about this. You could have a team that has a lot of injured players, but the medical team could be sound. I don't know. I don't know enough about, I don't want to make stuff up and be irresponsible. I don't know enough about the inner workings of the Yankees medical team to say that they're truly a problem. I don't believe that they are. I mean, up until Tommy John surgery, Garrett Cole was is my daughter. She's so pumped. She's got her first lesson today. She's Jay Roker. She's been badgering me, which is great for those pitching lessons. Remember I told you? Yep. Me, Dad, I want to pitch. Now there was no way they were rolling her out to pitch on her travel team. Daddy coaches rec, as I have the last couple of years. I don't coach a travel team. I'm at every game, but she really wanted to pitch. And I for going back a couple of months ago, I see her walking around the house and she's got doing that little thing with her foot, like simulating the wind up underhand. And she's very different than my son in terms of, how they attack sports, but she's starting to get the bug now where she kept asking me during the spring, Dad, can I pitch? I said, listen, you're not pitching in even rec. You're not pitching in a game until you show me that you've got, there's initiative. And like Dad, even though Daddy's one of the coaches, there's no preferential. You got to earn this. So I said, you want to pitch? You asked me. I'll go in the yard. I've done with your brother since he was 4. I'll go out anytime you want. So, Daddy, can we throw? Yep. Dad, can we go to the field early before a game? Yep. Can we? So I could pitch? Yep. So she's like, can I get lessons? And we were thinking about during the winter to gear up for the season. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, you know what? Now she's so into it. We're starting now.
That's too cool.
She's got her first lesson at noon. I haven't met it's at a facility I know very well. I haven't met her soon to be instructor. She's 19. She played high school ball. And I'm excited. So we're going to do 30 minutes hitting, 30 minutes pitching, and we'll start doing that once a week. So I just saw her when she was just walking by my door and she was feigning the delivery again. That's why I got distracted. It is awesome, man. And she did get out there during the rec season. And then she got out there in a travel game a couple of weeks ago. Our coach put her in.
Yeah, it's paying off.
Yeah, I'm getting there. You got to start somewhere, right? You got to start. You got to start with a passion. Completely disagree with the where are they playing pushback Mike gave you yesterday. Roster needs upgrades. This can't be our post-deadline roster. I certainly appreciate that. Thank you. Very generous. Now, Michael said a lot. Can you clarify? Do you know what he means there?
I think he's sort of referring to out of position, to players playing out of position would be my guess, although I frankly don't remember exactly the pushback. If you could, I guess, kind of Jim Boo, if you could kind of,
identify the exact,
paraphrase what Mike was saying, that would be helpful. But I think maybe it's about like players playing out of position, but I'm not 100%.
Well, who's really playing out of position? I mean, Ben Rice, again, obviously had some catching background as well. Ben Rice is a first baseman. Jazz has bumped around, didn't like playing third base, played some outfield for the Marlins. He loves playing second base. That's where he plays. McMahon's a great defensive third baseman. Wells, he stinks, but he's a catcher, and he's catching. Grisham's always been a center fielder for the most part. It's where he's playing. Judge, when he's healthy, plays right. Belly's, play a little first, obviously a little right here and there, but without Judge, it's more left field now. I think the biggest gripe would be, and I understand this, if this is what he's referencing here, to me would be unjustly based on performance, putting Caballero in the outfield and putting Volpe at shortstop as much as Boone has. Like, even though Caballero's not hitting less 10 games either. But, I mean, the Yankees will be on the precipice of getting broomed if he didn't hit those 2 home runs the other night, game 1 when Cam was on the hill, when we did the Yankee Live watch party, and Volpe sat, and rightfully so. That's probably that's definitely the one thing that I don't agree with. Like, to me, Caballero should be the everyday shortstop. And, I would experiment in a game, just put Volpe at second. He's, here, I'm not saying you do it all the time, but you're up a couple of runs, down a couple, throw him out there. If nothing else, you increase his trade value because he's got a second baseman skill set, the arm and all that stuff. I don't get how the organization really gives up on a player like Andujar. I'm going to go back to Andujar, but Volpe gets a crazy long leash. Yeah, Andujar was definitely a much better hitter, no question. I don't know about the fielding prowess, but I mean, you know the answer, and thank you for that, Mr. Mystery 8318. Thank you. Appreciate that. Get those super chats flying in there, J-Rod. So I could pay J-Rod. Without super chats, we don't get to pay J-Rod.
Yeah, that's a good thing to start telling people, though.
Yeah, let's pretend that's true. If we don't get super chats, J-Rod cannot get paid.
I starve.
That is the sad, blunt reality economically of the channel. No super chats. J-Rod gets bupkis, ugats. What's he say? Oh, Andujar. Well, you know the answer. I think Andujar was an undrafted free agent signing. I don't think they drafted him. And Volpe was the first round pick. I mean, and the Yankees aren't unique to that. Come on, think about NBA teams that draft somebody in the top 10 and drafted the wrong guy, and they kind of ride him out. You're going to get a longer leash to prove that, or validate that lottery choice that the team made. It's funny too because you think about ego and stubbornness, and you fuse the two together, and that describes Cashman lately. Think about Leon Rose and contrast it to how he operated. Leon Rose got here. All right, we get a fundamental overhaul. Let me first get a coach. Let me get a coach who's going. She's got her bat. Now she's walking around with her bat. Atta girl. Daddy's almost done. Atta girl. Right, so he brings in Tom Thibodeau, right? And let's establish a culture of accountability, of defense, of overachievement, of hard practices. And now that's the expectation. So anybody who comes in, that is the expectation, right? And, obviously Randall and a bunch of guys around them when they lost to Trae Young and the Hawks during the COVID season. And then, he knew, even though Randall was on the team and Barrett, and, Barrett was the 3rd overall pick, and IQ was a pretty good nick, and we liked quickly. I did for sure. But he came to the very quick realization that there was a ceiling on that team. And rather than be stubborn or try to wedge it in there, hey, it's going to be a little tough. We love Dante DiVincenzo. Got a lot of respect for Julius Randle. But if there's another step to be taken, and there better be, because we want to win a championship, we've got to uproot the core and do what we got to do. and they did what they got to do, and they won a championship. It just doesn't seem like Cashman's as amenable to change. All right. Wow. Now he's definitely getting paid. There you go. Pizza slices for J-Rod. Pizza slices for Jay. Jay, are you a big eater? You know, when we were hanging out over at Borelli's, you didn't eat a ton.
I used to be a bigger eater, but now, like, it kind of depends on the day. I'm not a huge like snacker. I'm very meal. I'm very meal, which obviously most humans are like very meal, but I'm not a breakfast guy.
Okay.
I'm like a late lunch, dinner, second dinner guy. That's usually me. So I'll have like.
What time's the first one?
The first meal I usually eat's probably around 1 p.m. most days.
Like little like turkey, chicken, salad,
turkey
tuna
sandwich kind of vibe. That sort of deal. Sometimes maybe a little more breakfast oriented, but you know, recently I've been making the sandwiches. Sometimes I'll go out, I'll get a sandwich, but usually I'll just, we'll do the turkey sandwich. All right, dinner. I'm not a cook. I'm not a cook. Let me just be super upfront.
I got you.
So dinner, I'm going out a decent amount. I'm going to the deli. Now, I'm not going down and sitting down having a meal every day, but I'll go to the deli. I'll get like a rice bowl with some stuff in it.
Okay.
And then usually we'll have the third dinner, which is like 12 to 1 a.m. potentially. Ooh. And that's like the final sandwich of the night.
Okay.
From the deli.
Not a big pasta guy? I mean, boiling water, putting some pasta in there? No?
You know what? I will occasionally, but I don't know. I feel like my childhood was just so every single day pasta, Parmesan cheese, grilled chicken, that kind of vibe.
Yes, which, good stuff.
Let me be honest. I love it. But I think since I had that so often in my childhood that like in my adulthood, I kind of, what's the word? Like stray away from it a little bit.
Yeah, you're tired of it.
Yeah, exactly. Big time.
I'll give you one of the things I started doing, and I was never really a big cook. I remember like when I was young, I would get frozen pizza, right? Mm-hmm. All right. And like this, I'm just out on my own, like just starting in the radio business, piss poor, like working in Detroit, whatever. And obviously way, way far from home. And I would get like, I'm not just going to give a free plug for a company, but there are some frozen pizzas that are pretty good. Yeah. Okay. And then I would get at that point, like the most authentic sauce that I could get. Mm-hmm. And I would, because I'm half Italian, so just to eat that kind of pizza, I almost felt like
it's a little sacrilegious,
a little bit. So I would kind of on the and remember it would come with cheese and maybe some pepperoni, whatever it might be. But I would make sure that I put some of the sauce on it. Then I would get some good mozzarella and I would cut it up, and then I would actually get some real cheese, and it would be a little bit more authentic. And then I graduated from that, and I was on it. Even when we got married, I would make this a lot for my wife and I. I would get like a big eggplant. A whole eggplant, and I'd slice it up, and I put a little olive oil. That was kind of it. Not you don't want to saturate it, so not too much. And then I would put some. I'd make sauce, and then I put the sauce, and I would almost and I have it all like liquefy, and I would almost have the eggplant kind of cook in the sauce, right? So it was almost like an Italian stew. Yeah. And then maybe add some chopped meat, and then you're good. 3, 4, I don't know about 4 days, but you're good for a couple of days. And you're getting some protein, you're getting some vegetables with the eggplant, you're getting a little pasta. So there's shortcuts because you don't want to be 40 years old and not know how to prepare a meal.
Oh, dude, trust me, bro. Like, listen, in my time working at dude, the amount of 40-year-old dudes I've met, like when I was working at Guitar Center and stuff, like. Who like literally were like who didn't know how to cook, who didn't even know how to make an egg well into their 40s. It's terrifying, bro. It's like you not knowing how to cook is a terrifying idea, and that's why I need to make cooking regularly more of a reality. Because like here, I'll tell you something. A couple months ago, I made chicharron. Like I made like what's it called? Chicharron is what? It's crispy pork belly. That's what it is. Crispy pork belly.
Okay.
And so like I have the facilities to, learn how to cook, know how to make a good meal.
Yeah.
It just slips away from me
every day
where I get to like 6 or 7 p.m. I'm just like,
you're young. I mean, I wasn't looking to do that at 23, but as I got a little bit older, and I don't do as much just because the schedule is nuts with the kids. I'll do it a little bit more during the winter because baseball and softball tends to be kind of every night for months, or close to every night. The winter, it's just, maybe 2 basketball games a week. Football, I don't coach, so it's not as nuts, right? I like to cook during football season. But what I think what sparked my interest in, not to overstate it, but I've got a decent affinity for cooking. I do, and I'm decent at it. Like when I do it, I don't do it as much as I should, but when I do it, it's pretty good. Like I get a lot of compliments. I can cook a little bit. I've got a good sense. I don't know, maybe a creative mind. I like to experiment with whatever. I'm pretty good at it, and I take some chances, right? But what made it fun was now I'm putting the music on. Now I'm going to pour myself a little glass of red wine, and I'm going to actually make it a process and enjoy it. Not like, oh God, what am I going to cook? Jeez, I'm hungry. And the worst thing to do is cook when you're hungry.
Oh my gosh,
you don't want to do that because you take shortcuts. You're going to start picking. So to me, you'll get there. I have no doubt about that. I have zero doubt.
I mean, I'm inspired right now. I'm going to the grocery store right after we're done. I got to chef something up.
Dude.
I'm listen, a bit hungry too.
Do you like eggs?
Well, yeah. Love eggs.
Okay. Do you like over easy, sunny side up, scrambled? What kind of eggs are we going? Go to a diner. What kind of eggs you getting?
Scrambled usually.
Okay.
Typically
all right.
scrambled.
That's even easier, right? I've been kind of going more sunny side up lately, but I'm generally a scramble guy. The different things that you could cut up. I mean, you can make a Western omelet. Just get a red pepper, a green pepper, a yellow pepper, mushrooms. I love, like, I'll get mushrooms when I go to a steakhouse. There's a way to, little sprinkle a little cheese, not too much, either Parmesan or yellow, or I'd probably go more for the mozzarella, but you could do that. It's just so many ways to do it. A little piece of toast, wheat bread, a little skim milk if you want to do that. Keep the figure,
There we go.
All right, Jay. Let me read this here. What time? All right, I got a couple of more minutes here. Got to support J-Rod with the super chats. You got to make sure he gets paid. Any thoughts on the new female professional baseball league? Just heard during last night's Mets game. I really don't know much about it. I have seen, and I've seen this for years, and I love the movie League of Their Own. Like, I love that. You've seen that, right, Jay, with Tom Hanks?
This is bad. This is so bad. I haven't seen any iconic baseball movies.
Oh,
I know.
Stop with the super chats. Let them starve.
Yes, please.
All right, you got some homework to do here.
I know. League of Dreams is the one.
No, League of Their Own, not League of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams. Yes,
Sorry.
Major League. It's all good. Different types, obviously. League of Their Own is great. Tom Hanks was great as like the surly, drunk, disenchanted former ball player turned manager. Rosie O'Donnell was in that. Madonna was in that. A couple of hotties were in that I'm forgetting their names. Who else? I actually cry at the end of that. That is a very touching movie, man. I mean, just the premise. I mean, just so you know, the premise. Was it World War I or World War II? I think it was World War II. It's got to be it was World War II, where the men were drafted and baseball was discontinued, and they started just for entertainment purposes, just for like the morale of the country, just to give them something to watch, take your minds off war. They started this women's professional league, and it was good. And they wore skirts, and they had it was amazing. And it's a great movie. And then it ends, and I haven't seen it in a while. I've probably seen it 10 times, but I haven't seen it in a couple of years. It ends where they all go to a reunion, and I believe it's in Cooperstown, and they're playing on one of the fields. And you just, you watch 2 hours of these young, vibrant, pretty, athletic women in their physical prime. And then you see, old, like in their 80s, no disrespect, but, wrinkles and the gray hair, and they could barely move. And it's the only thing vibrant about them is still their eyes. And that I don't care how old you are. If you have pretty eyes, which I don't, my wife does. If you have good eyes like that always tends to radiate the most and pop the most as you get older. But that was always touching. I always cried. Not like a complete wuss, but a couple tears while I see the end of that movie. Money for J-Rod to rent Moneyball. Hey, you go, Jay. Yeah, why didn't I start this when I started the channel? I mean, it's a monetized channel.
I know, we've got
just ask for money.
Next time, what we got to do next episode, we'll start it off with freaking Sarah McLachlan, Arms of the Angels, and just like a photo compilation of my face, please. Every super chat.
Yeah, it all helps.
A little bit more food.
The Rockford Peaches. Yeah, that was
okay.
That was
so if you had to give me one movie today, start my baseball movie journey. Moneyball, I have to wait a little bit because I've got a bunch of friends who want to watch that with me.
It's a good movie to watch with the boys. Good movie. Yeah.
But like if I'm just, maybe by myself, maybe with my, like, what should I start with? I'm seeing start with Sandlot. A lot of people are saying start with Sandlot.
I love Sandlot. I just watched that recently with my kid. Rookie of the Year is a good one for the kids.
Yep.
That's cute. That's a good one.
I've seen clips from that.
That's good. We watched that recently too. Let's see. I can go a couple of different ways here. All right. So, see, if you start with Sandlot, I guess there is a progression that could be worked up where you start with something like Sandlot when you're young, and then you work your way up to maybe I'd say the pinnacle would be Field of Dreams. Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch?
Yeah.
Oh God, that gets me like nothing else. Good. I don't even know if I can watch it now. I think I might be. I don't know if I can handle it now. I don't know if I can ever handle it again. Because when I first started watching, I would think about my dad, and now I think about my kids. All in a good way, but it's sad in a good way. All right, so. And then maybe in between, you sprinkle in some more of the comedies like Major League. If there's one. For the Love of the Game, Kevin Costner and Kelly Preston. Good soundtrack, some Bob Seger songs. I don't think you like Seger. I love them. Let's see. The one. Are you looking to laugh or are you looking to think? Like, I need direction.
I'm more of a thinker when it comes to movies. Obviously I love my comedy movies, but really I search out a thinker most of the time.
Speaking of comedy movies, my wife was telling me that she just now they only got like 20 minutes in, but she put on Dumb and Dumber for I don't know if my daughter was there for my son the other day.
Gosh,
yeah, it's a great movie. Pick them up. Put a shrimp on the boat. Oh God, I love
classic.
That so you're saying there's a chance? Let's see. Okay, so Swammy, Samsonite. If you're a thinker, I mean, Field of Dreams really does touch it all because you get to the history, James Earl Jones, relationships, little magic. That's probably the one.
Okay,
I'd probably say that one.
Field of Dreams. All right. I'll check it out.
All right.
The Natural. I know. I
love the I omitted that. I love The Natural. Natural with Robert Redford. Great movie. Absolutely great.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, this movie has really good ratings too.
Which one? The Natural.
The Natural.
It's an all-timer.
Critically acclaimed. Okay, cool.
It's Robert Redford.
Okay, you're gonna have to. What's Robert Redford most known for? Obviously, I've seen one of his films before. Oh yeah, I know this guy.
Of course you do. He's a stud.
Yeah.
Think that guy did all right when he was young? Robert Redford.
Are you kidding? Oh my gosh.
That's I remember when I was young, you would hear somebody, who do you think you're Marilyn Monroe? Or not to me, but like, what do you think you're Robert Redford? Like that was like the pinnacle of good looking.
He was the guy.
And Marilyn, you hear a lot of that from the older people in my like I think I heard that a few times. Oh, she thinks she's Marilyn Monroe. You think this guy Robert Redford? No, stud. I mean, what a head of hair. Look at him. Look at the locks on.
He's still got it.
Still.
Yeah. Oh no, never mind. He passed away.
No, not anymore.
Right.
No,
rest in peace.
Robert Redford did die. Pretty recent,
but he still had it. Even in old age. Dang.
How old was he, Robert Redford?
89.
God bless him. Robert Redford,
how you got the thick hair at 89, dude? I mean,
and not only did he have the thick hair, but he had like in the Natural, like nicely colored, like a little blonde tint there. Perfect.
Respect.
Nice lefty swing. He didn't look like a scrub swinging the bat. It was authentic. It was believable. Yeah, man. So I would go with Field of Dreams. There's so many others. Like, if for the chat out there, this is an obscure one. I've referenced Cobb quite a bit. If you could look up Cobb's, I guarantee you, like Rotten Tomatoes, bad ratings. But
it's not great.
No, Tommy Lee Jones was in it.
Mm-hmm.
He was Cobb, and oh God, what was the catcher?
Robert
Orlis. Who?
Oh, never mind.
I think Orlis was in. Yeah, well, Orlis was the writer who followed Cobb. Orlis, the old HBO show. Look at the characters. As soon as Robert Wall, maybe.
Okay, Robert Wool. Yes.
Yeah. He was great. He also had a good show, Assume the Position, on HBO. Very intellectual. You ever see that back in the day? Good show.
The Position.
It was somebody else. It was all about, it was all about like theories. It was like I don't know, a smart show. It's probably why I didn't get it as much, but I liked it. What was name another actor or two in Cobb? There was one more big one.
Okay, in Cobb, Lolita Davidovich.
Yeah, no, not her.
Brian Patrick Mulligan. Charlie Chaplin.
No,
Charlie.
No,
he wasn't in it. I'm like,
Charlie Chaplin.
No, this is another guy. This is another guy whose name. No.
You turn it into Bada Booms.
No, this guy's legal name is Charlie Chaplin.
Is it really?
Yes,
Charlie Chaplin.
I think I'm all messed up here.
Yeah,
I am all messed up. I'm all messed up. Lou Myers, Ty Cobb, Tyler Logan Cobb, Harry Hertham, Gary D. Talbert, Bill Kaplan, Ned Bellamy, maybe he's famous, Gavin Smith, William Ute, Jay Campbell, Scott Burkholder, Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett's in it.
Jimmy Buffett, the musician?
He says he played the armless guy.
I love Jimmy Buffett. You're not a Buffett guy, are you?
I mean, listen, I love Brown Eyed Girl and
no, that's Van Morrison.
Oh, he does his cover though, Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
No, I'm honestly off base there though because you're
off base on everything. I mean, listen, here's what you should do. Jeez, I'm talking about fucking up the show. I mean, here's what you take the last minute and send it to everybody in the end. Not that you're looking for a new job, but like how you make a demo tape to try to get people to hire you. The last minute, what you just did would be reason not to hire you. You literally just got everything wrong.
That would be like, all right, this kid hijacks the show from the host.
Yeah, right.
He knows absolutely nothing about anything. He can't read. He thinks Charlie Chaplin's still alive. He thinks Robert Redford's still alive.
Yep.
He's just going on a minute straight, reading off his computer screen. I mean, geez.
I'll tell you. I'm now if you know about Buffett, because you got mixed up with Van Morrison. Buffett, I am not a parrot head by any stretch. Like I've been to a Buffett concert.
Really?
Oh yeah. I went to a Buffett concert. I got a funny story from that. I got to tell you this real quick. So my buddy, when I was living in Vegas, working in radio, like you guys know, I was there a million years ago. And one of my buddies, Chad, who I lived with in Henderson, a couple of guys from the station, it was awesome. And his brother was a lot older, and he came in with one of his best friends, right?
Yep.
They bought Buffett tickets, right? It's the first time I went to a hookah bar and we sat around. It didn't do anything for me. I must have taken 30 hits. I'm like, I just kept taking hits. I'm like, do something. I just kept taking hits. I feel the same. I mean, I want to go to a Buffett concert and give me some real stuff. And I remember, well, first of all, the concert was great. Cheeseburgers in paradise. Obviously, Margaritaville. So many good fins to the left, the fins to the right. And I remember, and I was piss poor. I was making $25,000 a year doing radio at that point, just starting out. And I remember we went out, and it was at the MGM Grand in their big arena. And like his brother and his we all had no money. He bought us a concert shirt. He bought every beer. He paid for the hookah bar. He paid for dinner. Paid for the tickets. And we go. This is we go to after the concert. We play cards. And I was, I didn't have much money, but I'm always down to play, scrounge up something from somewhere. And I lose my money, not a lot, maybe 200, whatever, which is 200 more than I should have lost at that point for sure. Yeah. But I lose it. And then I see a hand go over my shoulder, right? And it's $100 bill. He's like, "Hey, play this," right? It's his brother. Like again, they were pretty well off, and they were like, I was 23, they were probably 38. Like they were deep in the workforce and both doing very well. I lose the hand, right? Another $100. Every hand he must have put over. Now I didn't lose 9 hands in a row. He must have put over my shoulder 9 different occasions, 9 different $100 bills. And I was in take mode. I'm like, all right. But finally it got to a point. I'm like, there's no way I could pay you back. I don't have this money in my account. It's impossible. He goes, dude, you're gonna get hot. He goes, I know you are. He goes, whatever you win, we'll split. I wound up winning like $1,700, and we wound up splitting it.
And so it kind of, he still was down a little bit, but it worked out. No, 1,700. Never mind.
No, so really like 26. Like I'm the 9.
I see.
Up
split.
17.
Yes,
and we split the 17. Yes.
Good work. Also, All right, this isn't breaking news. I'm
Hurry
not
up,
going
I
to play
gotta
the
go.
sound. Jordan Clarkson back with the Knicks.
Yes, nice. Not unexpected. I love it. Shamet back, obviously him back. Nice pivot from the obviously Mitch. Now the enemy. My mind's flexed. I gotta get her to the facility. But Mitch to the hated, dirty, stinky Celtics. Still love Mitch, but now he's a Celtic, so we gotta, it is what it is. But good pivot with Drummond. Bench intact. Let's go. Hey, find a way to get DeRozan, who just got a buyout. Bring him in coming off the bench. There were rumblings years ago the Knicks were going to get DeMar DeRozan. All right, Jay, I got to bounce, man. Absolutely have to get my daughter to the lesson there. So great job today, guys. Appreciate you guys. Good on the chats. Drop a couple likes before we sign off. If you jumped in midway, big Yankee theme today. And back tomorrow with 10. Have a great night. J-Rod, I'll catch you later on, all right?
Peace out. Good luck to your daughter. Have a fun day. I'll see you.
I'm looking forward. I want to watch for like the first 5 minutes, but then I want her just to, work with the coach. I'm looking forward to seeing it. So let me go, and everybody have a great Thursday. I will catch you guys tomorrow morning at 10 on Unleashed. See ya.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney and Mike.